Okay, at this point, everyone and their mother is heard. Tom Brady, the longtime Patriot great, the quarterback that led the Pats to 6 glorious Super Bowl victories and who took home 3 NFL MVP awards along the way, and accomplished basically everything under the sun during his time in New England. Get this, he is no longer a New England Patriot. Yes, I know, this is all anyone has been talking about this offseason, but I mean, rightfully so. After all, he is one of the biggest names in the history of the sport, and to see him leave New England after 20 seasons, well, it just seemed unfathomable, at least until it actually happened. We all just kind of figured that they would find a way to work it all out. At least I did. Nevertheless, the impossible has happened, and now Tom Brady is a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, which looks as bizarre as it sounds, at least from all of the still shots we've seen of him in the Tampa red floating around the internet. But even once week 1 rolls around, it will probably still look pretty damn strange. Anyway, as much as all of the fans and all of the media members have wanted to freak out about this once unthinkable change to the NFL landscape, there is one small group of people that don't really seem to be too worried. And that is none other than Bill Belichick and the rest of his cold, calculated staff up in New England, where Belichick and his disciples have kept their gaze fixated on the 2020 campaign and moving forward in a world without Tom Brady. Far be it from me to cast doubt upon a football mind capable of putting together a career like Bill Belichick's. We've all seen his insane resume. But their general indifference and aloofness in regards to the greatest player in franchise history leaving has left many people around the league wondering, what exactly is Bill Belichick cooking up in New England?
He's cooking something up.
I mean, as it stands, the Patriots only have 2 quarterbacks that are really in contention for the starting job. They have the journeyman quarterback Brian Hoyer, who's been with the organization before as a backup and made a couple of spot starts here and there. And they have unproven second-year QB out of Auburn, Jarrett Stidham, who optimists believe to be the next Tom Brady, while doubters worry he'll be an underwhelming bridge to the quarterback of the future. They do have 2 undrafted rookies on the roster in Jamar Smith and Brian Lewerke, but there are very few people in the know around the NFL who expect either of them to be a factor, let alone on the roster once the regular season comes around. While the Pats seemingly headed into the 2020 season with a known and underwhelming commodity in Hoyer and a former 4th-round pick in Stidham, Belichick has left many analysts scratching their heads, wondering what he plans to do about his team's quarterback situation. For starters, there was his draft picks. As you'll notice, not one quarterback in the bunch. No Tua, no Herbert, no Love, no Jalen Hurts or Jacob Eason. Heck, Belichick didn't even take a stab at Georgia star Jake Fromm after he dropped all the way to the 5th round. And then there's free agency. Why didn't they go out and sign one of the veteran quarterbacks that were floating around on the market this offseason? The supply was plentiful this year, and it's not like they are just some scrubs either, or guys that were completely past their prime, like we've seen in years past from the free agent quarterback market. This was an elite group of free agent quarterbacks in terms of depth and resume. Teddy Bridgewater was a 1st-round pick just 6 years ago. And although he's had a bit of a tumultuous start to his NFL career that is primarily a result of some brutal injury luck, from what we saw from him in the Big Easy last season, playing in relief of an injured Drew Brees, he looked to be a great fit for Belichick and the Patriots. Bridgewater looked fully recovered from that catastrophic knee injury he suffered back during his Minnesota days, and he played nearly mistake-free football while helping to keep the Saints' season afloat until Brees returned. Heck, he even played well enough that folks started to wonder if he should keep the job, even once Brees was healthy. Similarly, at least in the terms of his status coming out of the draft, Marcus Mariota was the 2nd overall pick out of Oregon in 2014 and had a couple of decent years in Tennessee. And while he was usurped by Ryan Tannehill last season, he seems like exactly the kind of reclamation project that could thrive under Coach Belichick. He's not going to beat you with his mistakes, nor is he going to make any waves in the media. He's going to be a good teammate, keep his mouth shut, and do his job. Sounds like a Belichick guy to me. And of course, there's the proven but rapidly aging Philip Rivers, who went to a different organization that had its franchise quarterback leave in shocking fashion just last season in the Indianapolis Colts. Rivers is the one big name that I could see being a bit of a mismatch with Belichick. Between his gunslinger mentality and his fiery on-the-field antics, I'm not even sure I could picture him in a New England Patriots jersey. Even the new jerseys they rolled out this offseason, which leave much to be desired. Anyway, ugly jerseys and free agent quarterbacks aside, there is still a mystery brewing in Foxborough. Even though, according to Belichick's post-draft video conference, he claimed to be comfortable with who the Pats had at quarterback. Here's how he put it. Yeah, I like both those players. We've had Brian a couple times, and I think he certainly gives us a very solid level of play. And Jarrett had a good year last year. He improved a lot, and we'll see where that takes him. I have confidence in both players. With all those draft picks and all of the viable targets available in the free agent market, and the Patriots having a murky situation in their own quarterback room, you have to think that Bill Belichick has some sort of scheme going on behind the scenes, right? The smart money says yes, and if you ask me, it looks like Belichick and the Patriots are going to dive headfirst into the post-Tom Brady era in New England with a whole new strategy from what they have been deploying in recent years. Because if I know Bill Belichick, which I'd like to think after all these years of watching the NFL, I kind of do, the Brian Hoyer and Jarrett Stidham experiment is not a part of some massive intricate charade to tank for Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. As much as Belichick operates like a robot at times, and for many teams not named the New England Patriots, tanking does seem like the only way out after a star player leaves, I think Belichick is way too fierce of a competitor to punt on an entire season from the jump, and way too prideful for that matter. Especially considering the fact that, by all accounts, he didn't even consider Brady to be that valuable at this point in his career anyways. I mean, if he did, wouldn't he have just ponied up, begged him to stay, and paid the man? You think Bill Belichick wants to have a 2-14 season after doubling down on his belief that the greatest player in NFL history was merely a product of his system? Yeah, I think not. And as much as the rumors continue to swirl around that Deshaun Watson will be a Patriot sooner rather than later, I'm not buying it. It's hard to put anything past Bill O'Brien these days, as he's proven to be somewhat of a questionable decision maker in terms of player personnel. But even for O'Brien, such a move is practically unthinkable, especially in the short term. I don't think that New England fans shouldn't get their hopes up to see Watson in a Pats jersey anytime soon. The hype seems to have subsided from when Las Vegas posted odds that New England was the favorite to land Watson in 2021. But just because they won't have Deshaun Watson under center in 2020 does not mean that fans should start selling their game tickets or canceling their cable subscription. Because, like I said, Belichick has to have a plan. He always has a plan. According to Belichick's post-draft comments, he might be trying to find a new way of building his team. As he told ESPN, there are multiple ways to build your team. We'll see whether or not that comes up at a different point in time. I don't know, but we just tried to do the best we could do with what we had in this weekend. And that's what we did, and we'll see where it goes. And that plan is twofold. The first leg is landing a quarterback in the draft that they like on the cheap, which in this case is Stidham. Because of where Stidham is slotted in the draft, the Patriots have him for dirt cheap right now, especially if they can get even league average production out of him. With a 4-year, $3 million deal, he won't exactly be applying for food stamps anytime soon. But to be paying your quarterback under $1 million a year opens up so much cap space to fill out the rest of your roster. And it's not like they broke the bank to bring in Hoyer either. He's in New England on a 1-year, $1 million deal, meaning that in all likelihood, the quarterback position will end up resulting in just under a $2 million cap hit for 2020. Which is insane. As it stands, there are 10 quarterbacks scheduled to make over $27 million in 2020 alone, which if you have a look back at some of the recent Super Bowl victors is not necessarily a winning recipe, even if you have a great quarterback. The last team to win with a quarterback on a veteran salary was New England. And Brady famously took below market value year in and year out to give Belichick and company more room to bring in talent around him. Because in a salary-capped league, it's a tall order to bring in enough talent to win when you're allocating so much money to a single position, no matter how important that position is. That being said, the plan only works if the young quarterback the team brings in on the cheap is actually good. We have seen plenty of teams flounder with terrible quarterback play, but it seems like Belichick and the rest of the coaching staff is actually pretty high on Stidham. They don't see him as a bridge guy, but a quarterback that is capable of leading them to a championship. Not a couple of years down the road either, but now. People around the league can't help but think of some great Patriots conspiracy that they would trade up for a quarterback. An AFC Pro scout told Bleacher Report. First, it was Baker Mayfield. Then, it was Tua. Spoiler alert. They really like Stidham. Stidham showed signs early in the 2019 season as he performed well during his appearances in the preseason exhibition games. And even though his draft stock plummeted once Auburn's offense started sputtering his senior year, that was largely due to the incompetence around him and less so anything he was doing wrong. At the end of the day, he still has to go out there and do it. And no amount of New England spin zoning is a viable substitute. Fortunately for Pats fans, if things go south with Stidham, at least they have a seasoned vet in Hoyer who knows the system inside and out. It should be fascinating to watch this new iteration of the New England Patriots, and what kind of pieces Belichick puts in around Stidham and on the defensive side of the ball, now that he has the added cap flexibility. So, do you think the Patriots can win a Super Bowl with Jarrett Stidham? Join us in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton, and we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.